Hello Doraemons, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video we are going to look at the 7th March Tcs Ira Python question. So I would say this is a little bit of tough question to solve, but you have to practice a lot to solve the solution. I have these type of solutions like 2 to 3 in my videos. If you have been following my videos, you might have noticed this kind of question. I would say these are the toughest question because you have to handle with two scenarios. You'll be given two lists and you have to handle those things. So you have to be very careful if you get these type of questions because there are multiple scenarios to be handled. And I also have posted a video on how to handle these kind of situations. You can try to tackle with the two output cases and just look into this output, and from this input data you can try to just replicate this output for passing one or two cases. So if you haven't seen that video already, I'll link that video in the I button above and you can click on that and have a look. So let's get into this question. So first off, I'm going to explain you what we should do exactly in this question because they have given multiple conditions to be followed to in order to complete and solve this question. So let's get into it. So first off, they have given the object structure on for a single place how many object parameters are going to be hold, and after that they have given usually we'll have two methods which needs to be defined inside the main function, and for each function they'll be giving you this should be done in this function and another thing should be done in the second function. So like that they have given for the first method we should see all the unallocated assets and we have to have a count of it. So that is the first thing, and the second is to allocate assert to unallocated people. So I'll explain you in the sample input and output so that you can get a clear idea. My voice is not good today. Hope you guys don't mind and bear with that. So if we delay so much, then you will not get the solution on time. So without further ado, so first off they have given the n, like how many number of set of inputs going to be passed, and on the above if you have noticed we have four things for a single object, but in this sample input and output they have given only three, which is the id, assert id, assert type, and the assert owner, and they have not given the status like allocated or unallocated. Based on this you have to define whether it is allocated or unallocated, and I hope this is not required because I'll be showing you how to you can solve it without using that extra one object structure. And as like that we have four sets: assert id, type, and allocation. Like that we have three sets. If there is no allocation, they have mentioned it as none. We'll be using this none to avoid declaring one more extra object. And here again the same thing, they have given three values and like that. And after that, after this part, this is our set of inputs, and after that we have three names, which is the list of eligible candidates. This consists of already people who are available in this list also. So first part we have to remove the people who have already allocated with the assert, and then we have to only get the names who are unallocated, and we have to allocate asset to them, which is only desktop. So as you can see there are different type of assets, there's only two type of asset, which is laptop and desktop, and people who are unallocated, the priority should be given to the desktop. So who are not allocated, they should be getting a desktop, and they'll be passing like a desktop or a laptop in the end. What we have to do is, based on this asset, we have to find whether any changes is made regarding desktop or laptop. As you can see, if in these two names Sonal Sharma is already there and Tarun Singh and this Ruby Tamuli is not there, so desktop will be one change. And here as we find like none and none, we can just declare this. We can use this. If there is a desktop, it's going to be changed like that. And here you can see they have again given us desktop, but as you can see over here, there is no changes made regarding desktop. It has just given like no assert allocated, or even this part is, I think this there is no desktop in this thing, so I think they have given like no assert is allocated. So this can be done using two cases. You can either use the allocation part to output this, or you can follow my way too. I'll show you my way and you can do whatever way you want. Okay, so let's get started with our question part. I'm going to have my sample input and output right here, and let's have a reference to the output so that it will be easy for us to handle with it. So I'm just going to declare the basic structure which we'll usually use, which is class object, and inside this we are going to define our init function. So as of this function, we are going to have only like three things. First one is going to be the assert id, which is I'm going to give as id, and the next one is assert type. Let's give it as type, and then the assert owner. So we'll have, I'm going to give it as o, and we are going to just assign it inside it. So self.id is equal to id, and self.type is going to be type, and again self.o is going to be o. So this part is done, and next we have to declare the main class. So class main, you already know all the main, like the process of the data will happen in this main class. This main class will also have an init function in it, and here we'll define self, and we'll always declare this elist. As I told, we'll be using two lists for this one. I'm going to give one more list as name list, and I'm going to just assign it here. So now self.elist is going to be elist, and again self.nlist is going to be nlist. And now it is done. Now in this we are going to define two functions. One of self, and I'm just going to put pass as I've not decided what to do with it. So just put self and pass, and then we are going to the main function. So if name is equal to main, make sure you don't make any mistakes in the syntax part. If you make this, it's going to be a lot of hectic for you, so let's not do that. And yeah, so this is the basic structure which we'll be following. You will have a class object, and inside that init we'll pass all the assert which is provided over here, right over here, like the assert id, type, status. I have not added, I just added the owner. As in the input they have given only three sets, as you can see over here is 101 laptop and Sonal Sharma, 102 desktop, and none indicates that it is unallocated, like that. So after this I'm going to get all the inputs in my main function. So first let's declare two arrays to get all the value. I'll usually name it as flist to avoid confusions while naming your things, you know that. Flist, and one more list which is name list, I'm just naming it as klist, and we are going to get the n, which is 4, int of input as it is an integer, and I'm going to iterate through the list for I in range of n. Oops. And first I'm going to get the id and the type and the owner. So it is going to be aid, which is of type int, so just putting it as int input. And next one is the type, so I'm getting it as a type. You can define whatever name you want. As per my convenience, I'm naming it as like this. And after this I said owner, so I'm just going to give up AO and input. It's also a name. Now after this I have to add all this to the flist. So this is where the main part comes. So instead of just adding one thing to like one value to one place, which is 0, if list of 0, if list of 1, we're going to add a whole set like 101 laptop and Sonal Sharma to that f of 0. So that is only done using this object. So here we're going to put object and pass all these three: a id, a type, and a owner, which is assert owner. And after this, after completing this part, we'll be getting 3 set of names, and for that I'm going to again iterate. For j in range of 3, we are going to get a name. I'm going to name it as ty is equal to, it is also a string. So I'm just going to add it to the klist dot append of ty. So it's going to be just the name list. So if you want to add a set of data to that particular position, you can again declare one more object like this, one more class with object to or name, and then you can do the same process like this, and you can do so. That is how what the basic idea is. So after this, we have to get one more thing. After getting 3 names, we will get this desktop or laptop like that. So I'm going to again get it. I'm going to name it as like something as g, and I'm getting as input. So now that's it. So now we are going to declare an object and call the main function or main class. Let's do that. So object is equal to main, and in the main itself you'll be passing these 2 lists, f list and case list. As I already mentioned here we'll be getting 2 lists. One is the normal object list and another one is this name list. Here they are given 3 names, right? So that name list. So let's get it over here. The object list is stored in f list and the names are stored in k list. I'm just passing it, and to the function 1 only I'm going to pass this g. So I'm just going to put object dot fun1 of g, and here itself I'm calling the function 2 also. If you don't call, it will not execute, keep this in mind. So calling the function is most important, and here also don't forget to mention it in the parameters. You can mention whatever you want, so I'm just giving it as gl. So let's get into it. So the first part that needs to be done is to identify the unallocated assets and make a count of it, so that only you can give like this. There are desktop 1, which is unallocated, and there is laptop 1, which is unallocated. So unallocated in the sense it should have no owner. The owner is none. So let's do that. Let's iterate through the list first. For I in self.elist, so this is how you iterate here. Hereafter in this class main it will be referenced by self.elist. So that's what we have done here. We have given it a name. So for I in self.elist, and if I dot o, so this is how we call it. Here we are given as I, which will represent 0, 1 or 2. Like in 0 you have given, like there is some places like in 0 itself we are split it as 3, 1 2 3. So for that places you have not given it as 1 2 3, you are given as first one as id, second one as type, and third one is o. So that's what here it's 0 of o. And as you know, all the comparison should be done case insensitive, so I'm changing it into lowercase, and I'm going to check it into if whether it is none. If it is none, then for desktop you have to do separately, and for laptop you have to do separately. So I'm going to declare 2 variables. D equal to 0, this is going to have the count of desktop, and L is equal to 0, this is going to have the count of laptop. So here if none, inside this I have to run one more thing. So if I dot the type is desktop, then it should increment the D. So I'm just putting it here as desktop and in the end d plus equal to 1, like this. And else there is only two asset types, which is desktop and laptop. If it's not desktop, then it's going to be definitely laptop. So just put L plus equal to 1, and in the end you can try to print this also, and we can see that. Let's see that. I'm going to this end and I'm going to put the print statement. So print of, so first is desktop, so let's put desktop, and here itself you can give the space, and here put a comma and just put D. And again I'm doing the same thing for laptop, and put a colon and then L. So now let's see, I'll quickly type this input, so make practice of typing it. If you copy paste it, you will get an error and it cannot be figured out. So I've told this many number of times, I don't know how many are following, so I'll just quickly type this and I'll be back. And yes, I'm back. So now let's run and see it. Yes, so the first part is done. Now the desktop and laptop is done. Now we are going to print this line, which is count of record updated is 1, which should be based on this one, which is passed over here, the desktop. So let's do that. Already I passed it in the name of GL to the function 1, and here we are going to just do it based on this D and L. So I'll explain you the thing. So if D got incremented, and which means D is greater than 0, and the GL passed over here, it is equal to desktop, GL dot lower is equal to desktop, then I'm going to declare one like a variable. I'm just going to declare it as C, and over here I'm going to increment with the D. So how many number of times it got incremented, or how many instance of desktop is found, then that should be added to that C. It may be 2 or 3 or 4. If it is greater than 0, it should be added to it, and if it something passed over here is desktop, then only it should be considered. So just adding C plus is equal to D. So now the C will have the count of the assets which is of type passed over here in this place. So now this part is done for the desktop, and what if it is a laptop? So I'm going to declare one more elif, and I'm going to again paste the same thing, but this time it's going to be laptop. So for laptop it is stored in L, and yeah, hope you guys can see it. Yeah, it is L, and it should, if it got incremented, if it is layer greater than 0, and this GL which is passed is equal to laptop, then it should consider this count right over here. So now I'll put C plus is equal to L, and if none of the case exist, like if they are not 0 or something, and if it didn't get incremented, then it should consider it as 0. So C is equal to again 0. Now let's print this part and see. I'm going to print it. I'm going to put count of records updated. It's going to be C. So let's put a comma and C. Now let's run it. Yes. So halfway done. Now we are moving to the second function. So let's move on to the second function and see. So now in the second function, what we are going to do is we have one more list called as the name list. We have to first segregate the names which are not in this E list, which are already allocated. So let's first do that. So first I'm going to iterate through the name list. So for J in name list, as it holds only one name in each of the places, J dot lower would be sufficient. So if J dot lower is, And here also again we have to iterate through the self.elist. Yeah, don't forget the self, else it will throw you an error. Self.elist, and for I in self.elist, in this place here we can give j.lower is equal to I dot, the name is stored in O, so O dot lower. If S, then it should remove that name from this name list. So we are going to use self dot nlist dot remove j. So if it is available in the name list, then it should be removed. So this is the syntax to remove anything. We can't use pop or delete because that is only for integer values, number values. So if you want to delete a string, you must use a remove. So now let's print and see the name list, and let's see what we are getting. So for j and self dot name list, you cannot directly print the name list. You can only do like this. So let's see. So now we have only Tarun Singh and Ruby Tamoli, as this Sonal Sharma is already available in the list. Guys, my voice is getting so much, like, it's not getting so much bad, so I think you guys have to bear with me for a little long. So I'll just complete it real quick. Now it is halfway done. So now we have to just allocate the available resource to these two people based on priority. So what they have said over here in the set of rules is you should be considering on like how in the way it got passed. Like this Tarun Singh has the first priority and this Ruby Tamoli has the second priority, and the assert type should be only desktop. You should consider only desktop. So let's do that real quick. For j and self dot, again we have to iterate through the self dot ilist and find out which are the asserts which is unallocated. So we have to take only the asserts which is not allocated. It's again cracking. Okay, I'll try to complete it fast. So again I'm going to put self for I in self dot elist. Here we have to consider only that I dot owner is none. So if I dot o dot, again we have to consider it in lower. So don't forget to use this lower, and don't make any changes to while you're getting the input. So if you want something to be printed from that input case, if you change it into lower, then the output would be different and you may get an error. So always while compare, use this lower and don't change anything in between your output or input. And yeah, so here it should be none, and if it is none and if it should be desktop, then this allocated thing should be Tarun Singh. So now I'm just considering, and if I dot the type is desktop, again we have to compare it in lowercase whether it is desktop, then it should be allocated. Then this owner, which is I dot owner, should be this j. I hope you understand this. So the owner is none actually, and when it founds an unallocated thing with the desktop, then it should first go for j. The first is Tarun Singh, and it will go for first person, and it will go take the first assert, which is over here. I think the first one with the desktop is 102. So on the 1002 it should be allocated to Tarun Singh. And if there is no other like desktop thing available with unallocated thing, then this Ruby Tamoli will be again unallocated with the assert. So now let's print everything. So it should be order based. I hope you guys understood this. If you have any doubts, please comment it down. For I in self.elist, here I'm going to just print I I dot id, and with a space you can just put a comma, and I dot o, which is the owner. So let's run now. Yes, so now I think we exactly got our output, which is Shonal Sharma, Tarun Singh, None, and Arun Singh. So what I've done here is I'll explain you guys once again. So for the fun too, I have taken the num list. First I'm iterating through the num list and going through the e-list and finding out the name, which is from the name list, which is already available in the e-list, which means if the name in the name list is available in the e-list, that person is already allocated with the assert. So we don't want to allocate that person and assert anymore, so we have to first remove it. For that I have done this part, this entire part, and after that I have to allocate the person on how they are passed, like this. If it is passed like this, Sonal Sharma will have the first priority, and this Tarun Singh will have the second priority, and this Ruby Tamuri will have the third priority. As of now, we got only Tarun Singh and Ruby Tamuri after removing Sonal Sharma. Now this Tarun Singh will have first priority and Ruby Tamuri will be having second priority. So now we have to iterate through the A-list and find which assert is a desktop and it is also unallocated, which means the owner is none. So that's what I've done here. For Jane self.nlist, I've gone through the E-list and I found the owner is none and the type should be desktop. If yes, then it should be passed to the first J. First J will be held by Tarun Singh as after removing Sonal Sharma. So now it gets allocated, and if there is any other desktop, it will get allocated to Ruby Tamuri as her name is in the second place. So that is how it got updated, and I'm just printing this thing for I self.elist, printing the ID and the owner name. So that's how the output is over here. So if we find, like, if there is no desktop or something, and if there is no case, like for the second test case we are given, like there is no desktop, if we pass this case we'll get laptop was 2, and here in this place itself we have to just do like there is no allocation that can be done. If there is like it is not a desktop, or if it is not a laptop, then we should here itself put like no assert is allocated, and here in the else part also you can do that. If the C is not updated, then we can print it like no assert is allocated. And here also in this place we can just put if C is greater than 0, then only print this thing, and else just print like no assert is allocated, like that. No assert allocated. So this particular case there is no desktop, and here also we can just put like if there is no desktop, and here we can just use this thing. We can here declare a variable, and I'll do that. So here k is equal to 0, and I'm just giving k, and here if it gets incremented, if it gets changed, I'm going to increment it by 1. And here in this place again with k, if k is greater than 0, then only I'm going to print this entire part. If not, then no, I'm not going to print anything over here, because no assert allocated is already here. So if there is only desktop, we have to do that. If there is no desktop, then it is of no use. So I'm just going to give it as pass, or like that. Yes. Now let's run it, and here in one place there is desktop, so I'm just going to change that to laptop, which is unallocated. It is a laptop, and now I'll run and show you. As it says desktop is 0 and laptop is 2, and no assert got allocated. So here in this thing you can even put if there is no nothing got allocated. here itself you can just put, if it is desktop, then you can put this thing over here, and in the else part you can just put in this else part itself you can put like no assert is allocated. Like I'll just do the change for you guys. What I was mentioning is, here in this part, instead of putting c is equal to 0, let's put this, and here in this part I'm going to put it like print count, like this. Yeah, just like this. And I'm going to remove this. Now it should work fine. Oops guys, I've done a wrong thing. So this should be put in inside over here. So let's do that. Oh, now if we do that, what will happen in a sense, this print count of records will also get printed. So that's not what is expected. So before doing this, here itself I'm going to just put like if it is greater than 0, or if it got like executed, then here we can just increment one variable. We can even use c plus equal to 1, and then here we can put if c is greater than 0, then we can do that. Or even we can use just d and l. So let's use d and l. If d is greater than 0, then just print the same thing, desktop. And if again you have to check whether if l is greater than 0. If the d is not incremented, or if l is not incremented, it may give, it's just an else part. This is greater than 0, then again we should like print it is laptop here, and we have to put it like l. Oops, laptop, and here in place let's put l. And these are just simple things, you can tackle it by yourself itself. Ooh, it's getting printed like 2 times. It should not get printed 2 times. Okay, there is something which is missing. Can you see something which is missing over here? Yeah, I hope you might have found it. I've again put this thing over here, so it should be deleted. Now run and boom. Yeah, so this is a complete exact solution for 7th March Python question. I hope you liked this video. It was a lot more to understand from this video, so I took this video even without considering my voice. The quality would be a little more like not clear, but I tried my best to give the best. So I hope you guys liked it, and if you guys enjoyed and liked this content, please consider hitting that like button. So without my voice, I've been trying to shoot my videos, so please support me. And yeah, to get more videos like this, please subscribe to my channel. And I planned to upload every alternate day, but it's not working out. So please hit the bell icon and you will get notified whenever I post a video. And as Hayari hits, I'll be posting video back to back the next days every day, so you can keep checking on my channels for updates, and I'll be premiering some of the videos so that you can get to see where is the next video which is going to be get uploaded. And yeah, that's it for this video guys. I hope you liked it, and if yes, please make sure you subscribe and share to many of your friends. And yeah, this is your very code or Doraemon signing off. Keep learning and keep running. Peace out. Cheers. Bye.